Starting off this hour, let's talk some politics. Of course, this weekend there are Republican caucuses in Washington state, and Super Tuesday is just a few days away. And let's be honest, these last few months have been a little bit of a roller coaster ride with fluctuating polls among the candidates, sharp jabs traded over cable networks, and way too many GOP presidential debates. So what are we left with now? Well, in the eyes of many, it's a field of Republican candidates that few people seem to be excited about. A former member of that field, Republican Jon Huntsman, who dropped out, said this last week about what needs to happen in this country.
I think we're going to have problems politically until we get some sort of third-party movement or some alternative voice out there that can put forward new ideas. That ain't going to be me, by the way. I know the next question. I'm not interested in that. But someone is going to step up at some point, and they're going to say, we've had enough of this. The real issues are not being addressed.
All right, so this is not a new concept, of course. It's often, though, considered to be on the fringe. So what's it going to take to have a viable third-party candidate? Elliot Ackerman is the Chief Operating Officer for Americans ELECT-2012. I know, Elliot, your group would probably agree with Jon Huntsman that a third-party candidate could be really helpful in this country. Talk a little bit about what you guys are trying to do here.
Well, we're not trying to form a third party. What we're trying to do is get more choice for Americans on the ballot. So what we're doing at Americans Elect is inviting every single registered voter in this country to participate in an alternate nominating convention, so they'll be able to have their voice heard. And whoever wins that convention in May and June is going to be on the ballot right next to the Republicans and Democrats. And it's not about creating more special interests and more goofy ideologies that we have in the party system. It's about creating more choice. So the ticket that comes out of Americans Elect can be a Republican running with a Democrat running with an independent. This is about getting real leadership, like Governor Huntsman mentioned, that can put the interests of this country ahead of the interests of the party.
I think it's an important point. I mean, even, politicians that have been around forever, longtime politicians, they say they have never seen things more polarized. I've never seen decisions made more in the prism of, black versus white, red versus blue, than they do today. Congress, of course, has a very low approval rating. The people seem frustrated at the current system. And yet it's rare to hear people like you, people calling for a major change in the system. Why do you think that is?
Well, we've got a system that's dysfunctional. Why as citizens are we surprised when a dysfunctional system gives us dysfunctional results? I mean, we should all be concerned if, we had today, Senator Olympia Snowe announced that she was going to step down from the Senate. She's one of 100 senators, very successful, 3 terms. When her last parting words are, this chamber is dysfunctional, we should be concerned. So a dysfunctional system needs a systemic change, and that's what we're offering at Americans Elect by putting more choice in the ballot in the 2012 presidential election, and also opening up the ballot, being able to run folks in 2014 as well. But again, not as a party. We're not trying to replace special interests. We're trying to put more choice on the ballot for Americans so that they can elect the best Republicans, Democrats, and independents who don't have to come through, quite frankly, a corrupted 2-party system.
But, I mean, it seems to me, Elliot, what you're saying is going to be pretty difficult to do. I mean, we are, as you say, we have a system that's dysfunctional, but it is a system nonetheless that has been in place for generations. And it's a system backed with a whole lot of money and power. How do you change that?
Well, we're changing it right now. The way you change it is you open up the ballot. And you open up the ballot by getting folks across the country to sign petitions to put more choice on the ballot. So we've had over 2.5 million Americans sign our petitions at Americans Elect to put more choice on the ballot. And that's why there's going to be a third ticket in 2012. It's because all of those Americans have stood up. These are people, you talked a little bit about the Republican race. These are people, as we go into Super Tuesday, who are dissatisfied with their choices, but they're people who aren't willing to give up. And so they want to see real leadership emerge in 2012, and they're not ready to just wait till the next election and the next election after that. We've got real issues we need to stand together with as people and deal with, and they want to do that through having another choice at Americans Elect.
So break this down for me then. I mean, you say in November of 2012, when people head to the polls, there's going to be something different that they see on the ballot based on what you guys have done?
Exactly. So here's all you need to do. Go to americanselect.org. You can sign up to participate in the convention that's going to be held in May and June. The winner of that convention will get a line on the ballot in all 50 states, and every single citizen in this country will be able to vote for them. It's pretty simple. But once you open up the ballot, you can introduce some real competition.
What about, I mean, let's just kind of talk about the system in general, Elliot. I mean, we saw this past year, or very recently at least, the case in the Supreme Court, the Citizens United case, that is basically, I mean, we're seeing it manifest itself just in these last few months during the primaries in the super PACs, in how much money is being put out there, is keeping candidates alive who otherwise wouldn't be. How do you change a system that already has been put into place by the justice system here in this country, that money is going to play a major role in the years to come?
Sure. The way you deal with that system is you come at the root of it, which is how we elect our leaders, and that's what we're doing through Americans Elect. You know, fundamental to this is the idea that if we can change the way we nominate our leaders, we can change the way that they govern. So if all of the leadership in this country has to go through the funnels of the two major parties, then we're not going to have any type of systemic change. And the idea that after this election, where both sides have thrown what's being estimated at $1 billion in stinky mud at each other, no one's going to be able to govern, and nobody's going to be able to deal with the crucial issues of the day. So at Americans Elect, what we're offering is every registered voter the chance to have their voice heard and putting another ticket on the ballot. If we got more choice in every other facet of our lives, it's good for us. Why wouldn't it be good in our political lives?
I mean, the bottom line, though, is, Elliot, that's not necessarily, I mean, it's most people, I think you said you've got 2 million signatures. I think a lot of people would agree with the ideology here, but I want to just speak about realistically here, about the system that is in place and doesn't seem to be changing at all. I mean, how do you compete with that? Not just Americans Elect, but anyone who wants to take part in this system and not be sort of tacked down to one side or the other.
You provide people with choices, real choices. You provide them with a choice at the ballot box. And I think that's going to be a compelling choice for Americans, because right now, you know, you don't have to go far in the streets to realize this system and this politics that we have right now is not working for everyday Americans.
All right, Elliot Ackerman, Chief Operating Officer for Americans Elect 2012.
Good speaking.